back with another live, and you can see I have my nice philodendron here in my hand. This is where I ended last week, where I said I wanted to repot this philodendron. It has grown tremendously. It's done really well. However, I do tend to forget that I need to water it sometimes, so I want to get it into a nice semi-hydroponic pot. Getting it unwrangled and unwrapped from my mic. There we go. Look at this. I mean, all the way up here, and it hangs back there, but it's just really nice. But what I do want to do is get this out of this pot and get it onto a moss pole. So let's set it aside really quick so we can start prepping up the moss pole. And I'm going to pot this as I do with almost all of my indoor plants. I'm going to put this into some pond. Let me step around and get this. All right, I see no one's in here with me yet. That's fine. I'm gonna let you guys jump online here, and I can catch on a replay. So I really like to think about gardening as a year-round activity. And here in the wintertime, I do a lot more indoor gardening. But my true love, with all of these plants behind me, my true love really is outdoor garden and beds. And I'm getting close to when I want to go and pick up some bulbs. I love the spring bulbs. Now, I'm particularly fond of those summer bulbs where you get your dahlias and your daylilies. And before you get to that season, though, you're going to start out with your tulips, hyacinths, and things of that sort. So what I'm doing here is I'm just putting some of the pond inside of the moss pole so that the pole will have some weight to it and it won't be flimsy. Some of the garden centers already have those bulbs available. Again, if you want tulips, it's too late to put them in the ground now. You can't stick them in the ground. You had to do that back in the fall. But a lot of garden centers are selling tulips and hyacinths and daffodils, and they're just starting to bud out. And you can go and buy them now, and you can actually get out, if you get a day where the weather's nice enough, you can go and buy a selection of tulips, daffodils, whatever you want to put out those spring bulbs. Line them up however you like. You know they're going to come up because they're already blooming. They're already coming up. They're not blooming yet. And you can make some really great designs in your garden. Now, it's going to be a bit more expensive because if you had bought those bulbs back in the fall, you would have gotten them for a much, much cheaper price than what you're going to pay for them now. So if you go and get them now, they're going to cost you quite a bit more. But if you want just that beautiful design, you can get to a really beautiful design. Again, just putting some pond in here because I want this to have a little bit of heft to it. I don't want it to fall over. So I want to make sure it has enough weight of material inside of it to keep it upright when I attach this philodendron to it. Just filling it up here. Oh, almost done. All right, a little bit more. And then we're going to leave a little bit. And there we go. I'm going to set that to the side. And okay, what I'll do next, set it to the side. It's going to go into one of these nice pots here, which is another one of the semi-hydroponic pots. Now this one's really great. I could really demonstrate what's going on. It has this inner pot, which sits inside of this pot. And it's really great. I love this design because this bottom pot holds water. You put water in your substrate, it goes, it flows, and it has a kind of a reservoir down at the bottom, a water reservoir at the bottom, and it'll suck water up into the plant when it's needed. You have this meter here, which helps you know when that water in the reservoir has run out. And that is how you know it's time to water your plants. And I switched over to this about a year ago, and I'm absolutely in love with it. So put this through here, and then this bottom, actually, you know what, while I have this opportunity, inside of this, it's kind of a float, just like a float valve. This is really light and airy, so when water, it'll push it up and down, and then, let me get that line back up properly. There we go. And then you can measure your water level as it goes up and down here. When it gets down to about this level, right? Let me get you closer. Gets down to about that level or lower, you know to add water. You want it to sit kind of right here. You don't want it up here because that means there's too much water. And it's just a really great system for knowing when to water your plants. And it doesn't create soggy feet because a lot of plants don't like to sit in water. This doesn't create a soggy feet type of environment where the roots are sitting in water because its inner pot is sitting higher, right? So it's not necessarily the plant isn't sitting in water. The roots are going to be here. That water reservoir is there. That water will be able to kind of move up into the plant when it's needed. All right. I have fallen in love with it. Almost everything I use indoors for my indoor plants uses this particular system. Okay, I'm gonna line that back up. Hold on. There we go. Alrighty. And then really simply just place this in here, and here you go. So substrate's going to go in there, which I'm about to do right now using pond. Put the substrate in here, then I'll get the plant. So let me get some of this base substrate in there, and then I will prepare the plant. So yeah, it's getting close to one of my favorite times of year, which is the spring. A lot of the big, great gardens will start to open up here in the next couple months. And I will be able to go back out and to see wonderful garden designs that have been, that were planted last fall. I love going to gardens. This year, I would love to spend a bit more time with some home gardeners and not just with, those big major botanical gardens. Okay, so this is pretty much what it's going to look like. We're going to set this to the side. It's going to kind of tilt over. It's okay. Is it going to fall? Oh, don't fall. Okay, I'm going to put it back down because I don't want it to fall over. Now let me go ahead and prepare this plant. What we're going to do here is take it out of this pot, take this hanger off. Now, you could easily let this plant continue to grow the way it's growing. It's in a hanging pot, and I could set it up high and just let it continue to trail like this. But I'm already stepping on it because it's growing all over the place. I'd rather put it on a pole. You squeeze this because I want to get this out. You don't want to yank it out. You don't want to pull it, right? You don't want to pull it. You don't want to grab it at the base and pull it out, because you could break off some of the roots and really hurt the plant. Just kind of squeeze along here, and this plant is pretty dry. I let them dry out before I do this, just to make sure that it's not wet and nasty when I'm working with it. And muddy makes it a bit harder. There we go. And that popped out pretty well. Let's take a look. Now you can see the roots at the bottom here starting to run around, starting to take on the shape of the pot. So it's right at the point of getting root bound, which means that it's right at the point of needing to be repotted anyways. You don't want those roots to just kind of circle and circle and circle. Gets root bound, it's not gonna do well. Look at this soil substrate, because it's so dry, it is just falling right off. Just gonna take that all off and just be left with a nice mass of roots. I always say, when you're repotting a plant, you want to check on the health of that plant. What do your roots look like? Do you have that nice fleshy color? Because that's what you should be seeing on most roots. Fleshy color. Give it a sniff. Earthy. All you should smell is earthy. If it's earthy, you're good. If you're smelling sour smells and, like, what is that? That's funky. Then you may have a case of root rot. If you have root rot, take a look at those roots, see if any of them are black or rotten, snip those ends off. You don't want to put that into your new pot. And then, more than likely, you have root rot because you were overwatering. So be sure not to overwater the plant in the future. All right, all that substrate came right off. I mean, and here's that root ball, kind of still in the shape of the pot, which is kind of cool. But here are the roots. And they look really nice and healthy. All that substrate is out of there. That's gone. Let's get this into the pot. So I'm going to place this here kind of there, and then I want to put the moss pole back in as well. Next thing you're going to do, add a lot more substrate. So I've done this in several lives up to this point, and just because I'm constantly in the process of adding new plants, and when I add new plants, I like to take them all and put them into this growing medium. And I've heard a lot of other gardeners say they don't care for it so much. With me, I'm having great success with it. I really like it. I have some leca. I haven't used that yet. May get to that pretty soon. But right now, I'm still rolling with pond. Okay. So here we are. Now that's the easy part. At least for this plant, that's the easy part. Next is going to be getting everything. Yeah. So all those roots, this is completely repotted now. There we go. That was somewhat the easy part. Now, what I want to do is take every one of these individual vines, and I'm going to work gently with this because this plant is very fragile. This is a live plant. Work gently with it. Take every one of these vines and wrap them around the pole. Let me move the camera over a little bit, make it a little easier to see. Okay, that's a little more centered there. And so I'll just start with this one. It's short, and I'm just gonna wrap it very gingerly around the pole. Not trying to run up to the top, but kind of, you can feel where it bends a little bit. You're getting a little bit of bend in there. And there you go. And I have a bag of these ties here, which is just like the old school bread ties that you used to tie your loaf of bread with. I hadn't opened this pack yet. Okay, I'm gonna take this tie and this vine here, I'm gonna tie it, go around it, there we go, and just go around it here. Make sure that I'm not binding any leaves. You wanna be on the vine and not on any leaves. And tighten that down, just twist it. And there we go. Might wanna do one more. Yeah, because see, that's all that's falling off. I'm going to do another one. Probably should have went a little higher. It's fine. I have a whole bag of these, and I have another bag if I run out, but I doubt I will run out. This is going to create an entirely different growth habit, and I'll show you another plant that I did this. Hold on just a second, take the mic off. So I did this plant about a month ago. This is a philodendron micin. Both of these are philodendrons. This one is a philodendron micin, has these really velvety leaves, and I put it on a moss pole, same thing. And you can see it's starting to grow off. And what I need to do is actually take care of this one a little bit, because where these are trailing off, I need to wrap them around and tie it up. But I'll come back to that. Okay, now, where were we? Here we are. I want to keep this one going for now, and then I'll come back and tie that other one, because it's had some nice growth as well. I try to tie all on the same side, like this is the back side, but really as this plant grows in, you're not going to be able to see these ties at all. There we go. So then you just find the next vine and you do the exact same thing again. Okay, and I also try to always go in the same direction. I feel like if I ever had to take it off the moss pole, if I twisted them all on the same way, that they'll more easily come off the same way. Oh, here's a big one here. All right, just again, very gingerly, just kind of separating this because they're growing all over the place here. Oh, so this vine actually rooted. It grew out of the ground here, then it re-rooted. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that second set of roots off because I want this plant to go up. This nodule had gotten into the soil and it rooted, and I cut that off. And now, and that's fine, because you know, each one of these nodules, if it touches soil, you can almost see under this underside here, there's two little knots on those nodules. You put those in soil, they're going to start to grow roots. And do the same thing here now with this one. Just wrap it around. Try not to go up to the top, you know, save yourself some room if you can. There we go. And I'm just going to tie this in place. And it's a slow process. You have to be gentle with the plant. Again, don't want to get over any of those leaves. You don't want to bind the leaves. You're just, and when you're tightening it down, leave a little bit of slack, right? You're not trying to like vice tighten it down. You want to put it on there to where it won't come off. There we go. And then I'm going to do another one right here. This is going to look really full because this plant has already had such tremendous growth. It has so many vines and the leaves are big and fleshy and look really great. So when I'm done with this, it's going to be really, really full, just even to just get started. It's going to be really full. All right. Here's the next one up. And here we go. Philodendrons are really great plants. Between a philodendron and a pothos, especially if you like vines, you know, a lot of philodendron and pothos are what you see kind of your grandmother's plants that she had and grow all across the house. If you're ever going to anyone's house and have a plant that's growing all across the house, it leaves the living room, goes to the kitchen. I've actually been in the homes where the vines are just going and going and going. I've seen that in several homes actually. Okay, so that's good. Now take this one and do the same thing again. It's a very common plant. It grows really well indoors, low light. I have most of my plants under grow lights to increase the light, but this plant is not directly under a grow light. It just sits and it's a low light plant, can handle the lower light conditions and grows really well indoors. Okay, so that's going really well. Just continue this process until I get every single one of these vines up and onto the moss pole. Here's a really short vine. We'll do the same thing with it. There we go. Again, making sure that I'm under the leaves, because one of my key things is to not bind the leaves. I don't want to bind those leaves. Now, if you bind a particular leaf, one leaf by accident, it's okay. You just want to make sure that you're not binding those leaves, because that leaf will die if it's bound. All right. Now, one of the longer vines here, and we're doing pretty good. This is going a lot faster than I thought it would, to be honest with you. I thought it would take longer. But I've done this a couple of times now, so I have that one left to do, this one. Looks like I have about 3, maybe 4 more, but this is one of the longer ones. But I'll show you, I've stepped on it a couple of times. Look at that end, I've stepped on it. It's not the plant's fault, it's my fault. It grew and it was laying on the ground. That little end, I'm just gonna snip that off. But this plant will do a lot better now. That is not going to be laying down on the ground. All right, this is a big chunky vine here. Let's wrap that around. And these leaves will change directions. So right now they're growing in a lot of different directions. Once you place the plant where you want it to be, the leaves will kind of get in line and grow out. Just like that philodendron micin that I showed a moment ago. There we go. Okay, that's good. So I tied this at the top, but I may want to, I don't know, I don't want to get, this is a really nice one, and that looks really good. I don't want to tie another one because I know that as I add others, that vine will probably get caught in another one. All right, here's another one, not as long, but it's just, this plant is just so healthy. I love this. It just looks really good. And it was nowhere near this large when I first bought it, but it has just been very happy here. All right, there we go. Just gonna come on up, plant, up the moss pole. Oh, lost a leaf. That's unintentional. It happens, it's okay. Lost the mic as well. Okay, it's okay if you lose a couple leaves. Like here's there we go. One or two. It's not the end of the world. You know, you try not to knock off any leaves, but if you lose a couple, it's okay. All right, let's get this one tied in place. I'm almost at the top of this pole. Now I would have, considering the size of this plant, normally I would have used a larger pole because I think a larger pole would have worked better, but I don't have a larger pole right now. I'm gonna have to go and buy a larger pole. Okay, now we have, let's see what we have here. Is this one? No, this is two separate vines. Let me separate these real quick. Yeah, we have two more to go. A lot of growth on these vines down low. Okay, and just kind of, and as I wrap these vines around, I'm trying to go under the leaves and make sure I don't have any leaves bound. Just want, only thing I want next to that pole are the leaves. Just kind of go under the leaves. Now that broke off. Here's the thing though. I can save this. I'm gonna take this, put this in some rooting growth hormone, stick it in a jar of water, and this is gonna likely give me another plant. I can save that. The part that broke off, the rest of the vine, let me go ahead and attach it to the pole. That is the plan, that as this plant continues to grow, and if it gets really large and it's starting to grow off the pole, I can take clippings from it and produce more of the same plant. I'll take those clippings, stick it in a jar of water, put some growth hormone in there, and then let it just continue to grow. It'll re-root. Once it roots, I can take it out, put it back in a substrate into a new pot, and I have a new plant. That is where this likely came from. This likely came from clippings from someone else's plant. That's what growers tend to do. Okay, I was just looking back there. Oh, all right, I thought I had, yeah, here's the last one. Let's get this one up on the pole now. I'm not even gonna start out wrapping this one. I'm gonna take it up a little bit because I have so much mast at the bottom. I'm just gonna go straight up, and then I'm gonna start wrapping right here, about halfway up. There we go. And that looks really wonderful. And it really is a visual effect. It's up to you to determine which effect you want. Do you want the trailing, like you can hang this plant up high and have those vines hanging down and trailing? It's up to you. I really want to see what this moss pole will look like. I just want to control the plant a little bit more and control where it's at. Now, you see a lot of these leaves on the bottom are facing down. They're facing the wrong direction. That was the same case. That's done, guys. That's done. Now, what I'd like to do is add some of this mist leaf shine and strengthen. Just kind of mist it. A lot of these leaves are facing in the wrong direction. It's okay. They will turn around once I reposition the pot. It's a beautiful plant. I love the variegation. Because look at this down low. Look at this. Look at that variegation there. Just that beautiful, creamy centerline variegation and those darker green outer leaves. Here you have that centerline variegation. Just a beautifully variegated philodendron. Just missed it, and I'm going to water it here. But for now, let's just set it to the side because that is done. That's what it's going to look like. That's the look that I was aiming for. It's going to grow. It's going to be all beautiful, and I will continue to show it to you on future lives. All right, then let's take this philodendron micin, which I did about a month ago, and here we are. And you can see when I put this on the moss pole, it had leaves that were also facing in the wrong direction, facing down, facing to the left, facing to the right. I have this plant sitting where there's a light predominantly up above it, and you can see the leaves are starting to face up because that's where the largest source of light for that plant is at. All right, swap my hands here. Okay, and here we go. Now what's happened is, see this? It's grown and it kind of falls off to the side because I haven't tied this on. This is how much it's grown since I put it on to the pole, and I'm just gonna wrap that around, get up under the leaves. Again, not binding the leaves. See that? Just kind of go under that leaf right there and wrap it around. Not to the very tip of the end of it because, that's really tender and that's where that next set of leaves is gonna come from. But I think about right there, and then just go under the leaves again, come back here to the back side, under the leaves, and just kind of tighten that down in place. There we go. So yeah, philodendron micin has these beautiful velvety leaves. You can see the leaves are different. You see this philodendron, velvety leaves, that nice dark green, kind of emerald green color. Here's the other philodendron. You can see the difference in the leaf. It's more of a shiny, smooth, slick leaf. It's not velvety, but it's variegated. It has those beautiful variegations. I'm gonna take this, stick it in some water, save that. Let me see if there's any other. Okay, here at the very top, I'll drop this down a little lower so you can see at the very top, all of these leaves are new. When they come out, like when they first unfurl, they have a bit of a brown color to them, almost a chocolatey color, which I think that's pretty cool. But when they harden off, right, when they fully flesh out and harden off, they go to this beautiful green color, which this plant is doing so good here on this moss pole and growing in pond. All right, that one, I think I want to, this is two separate. Here's one, it's actually on its own starting to attach to the moss pole. And I'm just going to bring it around and tie it in place. I don't mind having them hang high and trailing, but again, when they start touching the ground, I step on them, the kids step on them, and it creates a bit of a problem. And I think this is gonna look really cool. This one has only been in this pot and on this pole for about a month. And so over time, I think it's just gonna fill in and flesh out even more as far as like being more leafy, and I think it's gonna look really cool. There we go. And then I would tie, so that's that, and there was one more, here it is. And if I wanted to make a cutting, I could go back to one of these nodes and go back to a node, and see those on the same side, you can see, you stick that in the ground, you can't really make it out probably, there's little knots right there. That's where roots will come from. So you go back to that point, you cut it off and put it in water, let it root. You could potentially put it straight into soil. I've had better success with putting it into water, let it get a nice set of roots in the water, and then take it and transplant it into soil. And that gives you some plants to share or more for yourself. I like sharing plants. My grandmother was into plants, and she would give me plants all the time, and I'd go and I'd get plants from her, and I would always want to say thank you. And she had this phrase, and she said she didn't like it when I said thank you. She said more plant. She said, no, when I give you a plant, the response is more plant. You know, my grandmother was at this point she's probably in her 80s, right? So she was really lived well into her 90s, and I was a young teenager. So we were talking, you know, well over 30 years ago. But she was into gardening, and she grew a lot of plants. Just pick off some of those leaves and mist that down as well. Beautiful philodendron micin. You see, nice little leaf right there just came out, and so it's going to continue to sprout leaves. This vine, I don't want it to grow in that direction. I'm going to wrap that around one time. There we go. Wrap that around. And so it's a little naked. You can see it, but again, I trust that it's going to fill in. You won't be able to see all these vines going forward. Now, I may have to put a bit more light down low on the plant, so you don't have these little naked root vines. They're not roots, but like these little naked feet. I may have to shine more light down low. But you have one little leaf right here that's already come in, and these leaves will kind of cover that up. That's what you want. You want all this covered. You don't want it to be seen. But it just takes a little time. It's only been a month. There we go. Just mist that down real well. That's great. So that's philodendron 1 on a moss pole, and here's philodendron 2 on a moss pole. You can see the difference in the growth habit of these two plants. Both vying, both beautiful. And that's predominantly what I want to do. Now I have this pothos, which is just sitting over here, which you can see also vining. Different type of plant. These are philodendrons. This is a pothos. But you can see this beautiful chartreuse, that limey green color. I've been meaning to repot this little guy. And I may jump on a live during the middle of the week, just on a random day if I have some time, and just get this one repotted, because it's just sitting here and it's not growing as well. I think it needs a bit more, just repot it, a bit more frequent water, and get it under some light. But I love that chartreuse color, that just beautiful coloration on that. That's the reason I bought it. And you can see, like when you say, oh, plants are green, yes, they're green, but come on, look at this. That's green, and then this is green, and that's green, and these are different greens. And you can just kind of get in there and just get lost in the sea of color that is green. But I'm not going to do that this week. I'll probably pick this up. Like I said, I'll probably jump on a live if I can during the middle of the week. I don't know how many more lives I can get in. I mean, really busy with the family and the kids and stuff. So, and then as the weather warms up, I may transition this. So the days get longer and the weather warms up, I may transition some of this live to outdoors. Right now it's all indoors, but I have a lot of potted plants. I'm going to go again and try to grow a giant pumpkin. Last year I tried to grow a giant pumpkin, and the largest I could get was right at 30 plus pounds. I'm going to order some better seeds, and I want to grow a giant pumpkin. I'm aiming for around anything over 500 pounds, I'm going to call it success. If I can get up to 1,000 pounds, I will call it a tremendous success. If I get up to 2,000 pounds, then I've done too well. The largest pumpkin ever grown in the world, I think the guy's name was Travis Geiger. He grew it a couple years ago, and it was 2,700 pounds. And I don't know what that would be in kilograms, but trust me, it would be a lot, well over 3,000 kilograms, or much higher. I'm not sure how to do that conversion exactly in my head. I do it on my phone, but yeah, it's 2,700 pounds. I don't want to grow anything that large, but I would love to grow a giant pumpkin right here with me and the kids. I take the boys out, so I'm going to be starting my pumpkin seeds here probably in another month indoors. I have some other pumpkins. I love just growing pumpkins. It's one of my favorite things to grow. Let me just move this to the side just a little bit. So I love growing pumpkins. I have some wonderful tomato seeds. I'm going to pick up some new seeds here. The garden centers are starting to put out seeds. A lot of them still haven't quite put them out yet. We're still in January, about to end of January, heading into February. But between February and March, a lot of your bulbs will start to show up. You should have already started to receive some of your books from garden centers. I'll show you one that I've received here. Hold on a second. So this showed up in the mail about a month and a half ago. Chrysanthemum Direct, which I grew some really beautiful chrysanthemums last year. This is a breeder, and they have chrysanthemums, and they have some really, you can see those, just magnificent chrysanthemums. And it's so funny because people only think about them in the fall, but if you really want beautiful chrysanthemums in the fall, you have to think about them in early summer and buy them. These come in like nice 2-inch, 3-inch pots. I mean, just kind of, and they are magnificent. The plants get really large. The plants that I had last year are still alive, so I'll be looking to add some new ones, different color varieties. And you could just see a lot of people only think about chrysanthemums as that orange color that you see in the fall or that burgundy color. But you can see here what the plant family really has is truly magnificent. So people a lot of times are seeing chrysanthemums and they don't even recognize that they are chrysanthemums. They think they're something else. They think that they're going to likely be a dahlia or something like that. Dahlias are magnificent, but these chrysanthemums, and look at these. So these, if you're a gardener and you've ordered from places online before, almost every year they send you this. So this came in the mail. I'm waiting on my book for the year 2025 for my roses because I grow a lot of David Austin roses. That is my favorite rose breeder. Second favorite rose breeder would be Peterbilt. Both of them UK-based garden centers and growers and hybridizers. David Austin just grows phenomenal English roses, and someone who loves English roses, which I do, living here in England is perfect. So as long as I live here in England, I will take every opportunity to go and visit David Austin Rose Garden and to buy David Austin roses, some of the best roses around. So I love that summer season. This is that preparation season, but what's been really great this year is since I have so many houseplants growing, that the houseplants have allowed me the opportunity to kind of just keep it going, right? In other years, I get to the winter, get to the fall, and I just wouldn't have much to do with gardening. Some people I've seen are already starting to plant out their plants. I know how long it's going to be cold here, so not quite yet for me. But these house plants have been wonderful with keeping me with the plant bug, so to speak, keeping that in check and allowing me to just kind of have a great time with indoor plants. But I will be transitioning more to outdoor plants over the next couple of months. On the next live, I'm not sure exactly what I want to talk about, but I think I want to start to talk about some outdoor plants, which is particularly, I may want to go into Agapanthus. Now, Agapanthus is one of my favorite plants. It's from South Africa originally, and I love it. Lily of the Nile, I think it's called, is a common name for it. But Agapanthus is really great. I love daylilies is another. I don't see as many daylilies here in the UK. They're really popular in the US. There's some really great breeders of hybridizers of daylilies in the US. So I may look for some more daylilies. These are perennial bulbs. And I love perennial bulbs because I love to buy a plant and let it continue to grow and come back year after year. I mean, that's why I'm so in love with my amaryllis. And this is my last one bloom. If you go back and look at the channel, you can see that this one was blooming. I'm going to clip this off, not today, because you see it's still a little green. I'm going to let this stem die all the way back down. You can see it's throwing up these leaves, these long, beautiful, strappy leaves. And I just sit this in the sun, let it grow indoors until it's hot enough. And then in the summer, I would actually set this pot outside and then let it grow outside. And right around October, August, heading into October, bring it indoors, don't water it, it'll go dormant. Then water it around October, November. So really probably around July, August, I'll stop watering it for about 8 weeks. Around October, I'll start watering it again, and it'll bloom around Christmas. I'm not caring too much if it's on that actual day or not, but it'll bloom in that Christmas season. That's one way that you can want to control it. You can do it like that. On the side of this pot is a tiny little offshoot because these grow by creating bulblets on the side. And that's one way that they grow. So I'm going to repot this, take this out the pot. There's another bulb in there, and here's a second plant. It'll be a couple years before it produces a bloom. But I love plants that are bulbs. I'm in love with bulbs, perennial bulbs. This is a beautiful bulb plant because bulbs, they actually give you a little bit of leeway. Plants that have bulbs, if you don't water them in time, it can pull nutrients from the bulb, pull moisture from the bulb. It is a little more lenient. Also, when you plant them outside, every year they reproduce, they regrow, they grow back. You don't have to buy the same plant over and over and over again. Now, I do like my annuals, right? One of my favorite annuals are going to be marigolds. I'm in love with marigolds, and those are annuals. And so their petunias are annuals. They don't have bulbs. You have to replant them every year. So there's some really great annuals out there, and I grow a lot of great annuals as well. But mostly, I'm in love with the bulbs because you buy it once, you keep having a lot of plant. In about another week, I'll clip this off, set this on a windowsill, and just let it continue to grow. Okay, that's all I want to cover. This is the philodendron micin. Potted up about a month ago. I did the whole live. You can go back, you want to check that out. You can go back and look at that. This is another philodendron. You can check this one out. And I just potted this up today, and check back in on the channel. I try to go live here in the UK every Sunday around 7:30 British Standard Time. This time it was around 8. I try not to stick to that too hard because I don't want to put too much pressure on myself, but I do like going live. I try to do it once a week. I may go live during the middle of the week. I can't tell you when. I don't know what my schedule's going to be, and just repot this. Look at that color. I just in love with the color of this plant. And I may do that in the middle of the week and do some other, just a little bit of cleanup here with the garden and with the plants. I want to show you the banana tree that I have. I bought it last year. I'm not going to drag it out today because it's in a really large pot. It's coming up on right at a meter tall. I bought it last year at Peterbilt's Garden Center. And I brought it home, and it's growing really great. And I said, I don't want it to go dormant. I brought it indoors towards the fall, and it's been growing really well in here. And I'm hoping that next year, well, this summer, it may get large enough for me to actually get a banana out of it. That would be really cool because it's supposed to be able to produce something like an edible banana. That'd be cool. All right, that's all we have for this week. If you like the live, please be sure to throw me a like, give me a couple of subscribes. Anything you can do like that will help the channel. This is a small gardening channel, guys. I'm not one of those big gardeners. I just enjoy gardening, and I enjoy having an opportunity to share what I know with others. So give me a like and give me a subscribe if you like gardening. If you want to see something like this, then yeah, you can do that. All right, until next time.